I'm going to go through the solution to the 2007-2008 database methods examination. Let's just review the instructions to start with. You're asked to attempt all 6 tasks, and we recommend you do them in order because it makes sense to do that. If you are trying to run a query, obviously you need the table created and to work on prior to doing that, and so on. Read through the paper before you attempt any tasks. Enter your name and exam number on printouts. Printing may be carried out at all times, but it must be supervised, and files must be saved off at the end. The teacher will take care of that in normal circumstances. And of course, there is a checklist of all your requirements at the very end that you should go through to make sure you're thorough and get as many marks as possible. Okay, let's start looking through the tasks. The introduction is just an overview of the database you're going to design. In this case here, it's for a small local music store that has asked you to design a database in order to monitor their stock. So there's an extract of some of the information that you're going to create in the exam. So step one is you're asked to open up Microsoft Access and create a new database. So let's get doing that. To open up Microsoft Access, you just have to navigate to your Microsoft Office program group. And when you start off, you do the saving at the beginning by clicking on the blank database and browse to the appropriate folder. In the exam, you'll be given a folder to navigate to. I'm going to just save this into my database methods folder and apply the file name music store that was given in the exam question. And then I just click on the create button to set up that database. Now you'll be given a table that you're ready to work on, and we're going to bring that table into design view, at which time we're going to be prompted to save. So let's see what the file name for this table is. And we can see it's TBL stock 1. So TBL stock 1 followed by your initials, so that when you do any printouts, you'll be able to identify this table. Okay, now our table design is ready to work on. The table structure form will be contained on the final page of your exam paper, and you should fill that in according to the table that you've been given in task 1. So let's have a look at that table here. The table contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fields. You need to identify the fields. Of course, the type of data, for example, in the price field we have currency data, we've text data in the artist fields, and also, if it's appropriate, a formatting for the fields and a length for the field if it's appropriate. For example, the length of the CD code is always going to be 3. So I've written in my table design structure form here the field names, the data type that goes with the field name, and where appropriate the size format of those fields. And all I need to do next is, based on what I've done on paper, I need to fill in the design of my table back in my Access database, starting with, in this case, CD code, which is text field. Album name, again, is a text type field. Continue to consult your design until you complete all of the field names in the design on the computerized version of your database. Okay, so now we're ready to tackle task 2, which centers around designing and creating a form to enter the data shown in the database table here. Okay, let's have a read of a few of the details about the form. It should have the following format. The title is stock entry centrally on the screen, 2 fields in each line, a label beside each field, and the name of the form is FRM stock 1. So prior to creating the form, I need to exit the design view of the table and enter the datasheet view and save my changes. And now I can click on the create button and just simply go into form. And there's my form ready to work on. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on that form and I'm going to save it with the appropriate name. In this case the name is FRM stock 1, and I'm going to keep my initials at the end for printing purposes, so I'll be able to identify who owns the form. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to exit the form view and I'm going to enter the design view so that I can make a few changes here. First element of design is the title stock entry is to be displayed centrally on the screen. So all I need to do is click into my title box here. Stock entry is our title, and to get that displaying centrally on the screen, I click on the box and grabbing on the handle I just drag it over. And let's have a look at the form view here, and as you can see it's displayed pretty much centrally here. I may have to move it a small bit to the left. Now I can enter my design view again and proceed with some other changes. I'll just drag that back so it's more central. So the next stage is I want to have 2 fields on each line. At the moment there's 1 field on each line and all of these fields are kind of snapped together, so I'm just going to click on the first text box holder here and drag the boxes over so that there's plenty of room to enter there's a more appropriate size for the box. Now all these boxes are snapped together, so I'm just going to click on the top left hand corner here to select them all at once and then enter the arrange ribbon group and click on remove, so it's easy to move these boxes one by one. So I'm going to maintain the CD code, album name and artist and date of release on one side of my form. I'm going to move the label, not by the label but by the text box. When I click on it and I drag, you can see I can move it over and align it up so that there's now 2 fields on each line here. By clicking on the price box there, 2 fields on each line here and 2 fields on each line here. So let's see how that looks by going home and changing the view again to form view. 2 fields on each line. You're requested to place a label or title beside each field, and the process has automatically placed a label on each field here. We've already saved the form. Now it's time to go to 2.2. Use the form to enter all the sample data given above in the database table. There we go. So there's our data. Once you've entered the final field of the first record, to proceed and add another new record, you can just click on the new blank record button and keep on entering data for a new record. And once you've finished the final record, just hit the enter key. So now all of your data has been input into the form, and you can navigate through the records by using the arrows on the bottom if you wish to view that data. Okay, at this stage it's a good time to take a printout of both your form and your table. So to do that, with our form selected, you can just click on the Office button, and it's usually good to have a good quick print preview of what's printed out. I notice my print preview here that there's two pages to that printout there, and I can get it to fit onto one page perhaps if actually there's 4 pages and two pages are blank, so it may be more appropriate to either change the design to narrow down things a bit. So if I close off the print preview and re-enter my design view here, I can narrow this title bar that's here, and I can also put my initials in so that when the form is printed, just return to print preview again, you'll be able to identify it as your form. So the changes I made there brings the form down to a 2-page document, so all you have to do is click the print button to print that off. And you also wish to print our table, which has none of the data input into it yet, so what we're best off doing is closing off the form, saving our changes, and closing off our table, and also saving the changes if you're requested. Then when you reopen the table, you can see that all our data has been input into the table, and you can enter print preview, and when you zoom in you can see that your initials are there, so you can identify it as your table. We'll notice this spills out into 2 pages, so if we changed the view to landscape, the table fits on 1 page. You can click